Hello, and welcome to Addicted Like Us, a podcast discussing all things written by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm your host, Haley, and today I have Allyn, aka Allyn Fireheart, with me to discuss Hothouse Flower, Book 5 in the Addicted series. A quick recap. I'm Haley, a longtime reader and lover of Krista and Becca's work. I'm also a part-time illustrator, and I had the privilege of working on the special edition covers for the Like Us series. Now, I just love to spend my time talking about all my favorite books, aka anything written by KBR. So the Addicted Like Us podcast was created so I can sit down with friends and discuss all our thoughts. So let me introduce you to Allyn.
Should I just read what I
Yeah, go for it.
I'm Allyn. I am just a little bookstagrammer, and I found Krista and Becca through seeing someone else's posts about the Addicted series and started reading them, I think in December 2022. And then finished my first read of the Addicted series around this time last year. Um, and then met Haley through Instagram. I don't even know how
We've
I don't
tried to figure
remember.
this out before, but we don't remember.
We just kind of instantly became besties. So, and then we kind of read the Like Us series together. I mean, not, it wasn't her first time, obviously. It was my first time, but she was rereading while I was reading, and it was just a really sweet time this summer. And so, yeah, that's my Krista and Becca journey as of today. And that's all I got.
Yeah, that's more than enough. Okay, so two quick things. Because it is a longer book, this will be part one of the Hothouse Flower discussion. And the following week, I don't know what days, I can't remember what days this is
I
going to
can't
be out
either.
on. But the following week, part two will be released for this discussion. So the second thing to mention is that, spoiler warning, we are going to be talking very in depth about Hothouse Flowers. So if you have not read this book, please return after you have, because you will be spoiled for everything. You have been warned.
You have been warned.
So, quick recap for what has happened in the previous books up to now. Basically, we've met the Calloway family, and the main players that we know are the Calloway sisters, Rose, Lily, and Daisy. Lily is a sex addict, and her sex addiction was made public. And because this family is very wealthy, the media was very interested. This was a very scandalous piece of news that the media got. It became very public, and they are now trying to adjust to living in the public's eye at this point. How many times have I said public?
Not that many. Not noticeable. Don't worry.
In the last book, we had Rose's point of view. And during that book, Rose, her boyfriend Connor, Lily's boyfriend Lo, and Daisy and Reich's half brother and Lo's half brother Reich were all living in a townhouse together, being filmed for a reality TV show called Princesses of Philly. And that ended abruptly when it was discovered that the producer of that TV show, We Don't Like Scott, he had recorded Rose and Connor having sex in the townhouse and sold them to a porn distributor. So that very quickly ended the show, and everyone has moved out of that townhouse back into their homes. So Rose, Connor, Lily, and Lo all went to the Princeton house. Reich moved to his apartment, and Daisy moved back home with her family. And so Kiss the Sky ended in June. Hothouse Flower picks up in September of the following year. So it's been over a year since Kiss the Sky ended. So the Hothouse Flower synopsis. Reich Meadows meet Daisy Calloway. She's all grown up. 25-year-old Reich Meadows knows he's hard to love. With a billion-dollar inheritance, a track star resume, and an alpha male personality, he redefines the term likable asshole. But he's not living to make friends or enemies. He just wants to free climb 3 of the toughest mountains in Yosemite without drama or interruption. And then he receives a distressed call from a girl in Paris, a girl that he has never been allowed to have. Daisy Calloway is 18. Finally, with her newfound independence, she can say goodbye to her overbearing mother and continue her modeling career. Next stop, Paris. Fashion Week begins with a bang, and Daisy uncovers the ugly reality of the industry. She wants to prove to her family that she can live on her own, but when everything spirals out of control, she turns to Reich to keep her secrets. As Daisy struggles to make sense of this new world and her freedom, she pushes the limits and fearlessly rides the edge. Reich knows there's deep hurt beneath every impulsive action. He must keep up with Daisy, and if he lets her go, her favorite motto, live as if you'll die today, may just come true. Okay, so let's talk about Hothouse Flower.
I kind of teary while you were reading it, even though I just finished it. Ah,
There's a lot going on in that.
there's so much going on in this book. Like, I kind of forget how many things happen and how fast paced
It's
this
so
book
fast
is,
paced.
which is, it makes sense for these two, for it to be fast paced.
Oh, yeah. I was, because I skim through and take my
Hmm.
notes, but I was sitting here like I could probably sit down and actually eyeball read this and it'd be pretty quick instead of, I'm usually really slow with my eyeball
Yeah.
reads, but I think this one would go really fast.
Yeah.
But so the book starts off first with a note from Reich. You won't understand me if you can't handle me, and I'm not going to try to explain myself. I'm raw. I'm hard. I'm the thing you shy away from. So I'm warning you now, back away, because once you enter my life, I won't ever let you leave. And this is Reich Meadows
That's
in
right.
like
That's right.
a paragraph.
It is. Yeah, when I was reading this, I mean, I just get chills every time because Reich is such a formidable character, and that once you enter my life, I won't ever let you leave is the Reich Meadows way.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of I think I wrote this in the notes that like I kind of called back to an Addicted to You where he
Yeah.
tells Lily, I think it's Lily, it may be Low that he says, I'm really fucking hard to get rid of. And
He
it's
says, I think it's
just
Lily, but yeah.
I think it's Lily too. Um, but it's just the Reich Meadows way. He's just
Yeah.
I mean, he's so loyal and he just fights and fights and fights.
And then the other part is I'm raw, I'm hard. Like
Hmm.
he is just so blunt, so on. Like he
Yes.
just says what's on his mind.
Right.
There's no, I don't know what the right word is. It's not like I want to say he's not putting on airs, but that's not exactly it. But
He's
like
not putting on anything. He just is
he's
who
not
he
putting on any
is.
face. Like who he is who he is, and you can
Yeah.
either love him or hate him. And
And he
but
doesn't care either way.
right, but he's not going to change for
Right.
you.
Right.
Okay, so then we have the note, and then we get the prologue, which is set 8 years in the past.
Correct.
Reich is at the country club having his weekly lunch with Jonathan.
Hmm.
And this is happening. This happens 4 days after,
He's sober.
yes, after he decided to become sober because he had crashed a car into his neighbor's mailbox
Right.
after drinking. And we learned about this in Addicted to You, but we get a little more backstory to why he was
Right.
doing this, which was basically that he was really angry at his whole situation.
Right.
The fact that he has to hide, the fact that Jonathan is his dad, that Sarah is his actual mom. Sarah keeps the Hale name, but he is a Meadows.
Hmm.
And Reich is very bitter that Lowe is living the life that Reich should have. And he goes to Dalton and he's drinking on the field and he like smashes a bottle in hopes that Lowe is somewhere on that field and cuts himself. But yeah, it's so interesting to think about like that backstory and then having him go to Low and Addicted to You and be like, yeah, I stopped drinking because I crashed my car into a mailbox. But he knows that it was because I was angry at you and I couldn't be that way anymore.
Right. And I think it's interesting that in a way, like Reich stops drinking because of Lowe and Lowe stops drinking because of Reich. And like it's totally different reasons and you see the growth of Reich from that moment where he stops drinking to the
Yeah.
moment where he's helping his brother stop drinking. And Right. Let me go ahead and stop before I get to. I just love Reich so much. But yes, it is really cool to see the backstory. And you just get so much context for Reich, especially the first time you read it, because you kind of don't like, you're supposed to like him, but you're kind of like, I kind of don't like this guy who just comes in here and ruins everything.
Oh yeah. He's very hard to like, especially at the very beginning of the series. You're like, I know what he's trying to do and it's good that he's trying to do it, but like stop it. We were at this nice
Yeah,
stasis and now you're just like throwing everything off kilter and things are starting to fall apart. I'm like, good,
right. Which is
Mike.
why the book is so good. Like the series is so good, is because you begin to believe that Lily and Lo are in the right, and
Yeah.
like Reich comes in and does the thing that hopefully we would do if we saw our friends and brothers and sisters in this same, but like in the moment, we're so wrapped up in what Lily and Lo are doing that we're kind of
Yes.
like, you're ruining everything.
Yeah.
And so
You're
it is.
so invested in
Right,
their perspective.
right, right. And I think that's why it's good to see this point of view of Reich, because you get that humanity with him, not just like this dude that came in and ruined everything. You get this real, raw humanity from Reich
Yeah.
in the form of his relationship with his dad.
Yeah. Yeah. So this whole prologue is just
It's
poor
a lot.
Reich.
Yeah.
It's a lot. He's very frustrated with his situation and he's really angry at Jonathan.
Right.
Jonathan has not been the loving dad figure that he would like to think he is. Like, oh, I'm making time for my son at this weekly lunch date, but like that's all you can give him. And yeah, so there's that line that hurts is I my mom was Sarah Hale, my dad was Jonathan Hale. I was no one's son. It's just like he is this forgotten family member of the Hale family. He
Right.
being erased.
But I love to, because, and I always tell people that, like, I'm a fast reader and I read through the first time and they're like, savor it, take your time. And I'm like, no, the reread for me is what's better than the first time, because now knowing what I know about where Reich is headed and like where his life ends up by the end of these 23 books is that
Yeah.
right? 23?
I
13
mean,
plus 10.
if you want to tack in bad rep,
Oh yeah, true.
it's
But is that
25.
one or two? Yeah, right, 25.
We'll make
um
it count as two.
we'll make it count as two. So at the end of the 25 books, I look and see where he is and what his life looks like, and you just know how full circle this comes for him and
Yeah.
how loved he actually is by his brother's fiance, just the whole family. It's,
Yeah.
you just see those five people, even at this point, how much they love and respect Reich, even Connor,
Oh,
and
100%.
yeah,
We saw a lot. We saw plenty of that in Kiss the Sky.
right. And you see more of it here.
Oh yeah. Oh, what else happened in this prologue? Um,
Ugh,
just a lot.
a lot, a lot about their essentially a parent-child relationship where the parent is a narcissist and the child is
Yeah.
wounded. Um,
Yeah. And the reminder of his name.
oh yes, oh my
Jonathan
gosh,
keeps calling Reich Jonathan, which is
right.
technically Reich's first name is Jonathan, but like we never know him as Jonathan. He
And
has always gone by Reich.
it's just Jonathan's way of like asserting his control over Reich.
Yeah.
And yeah, names are so important in the Addicted series and the Like Us series. And so I like how Reich stakes his claim and he's like, no, this is who I am. And you get it from the note before, like, no, this is who I am. I'm real. I'm hard. I'm rough. I'm the thing you shy away from. And
And
even
I
at,
am Reich.
and I'm Reich. Right. Exactly. Like those things are synonymous.
Yeah. All right. So into chapter one, which is 8 years later from the
Correct.
prologue.
So
And
Reich is 25.
yes, Reich is 25 at this point. Um, So it starts off with Rike and Lo going for a run, which these moments just get to me.
Me
I
too.
mentioned it in the Addicted to You podcast that we saw it there first. Lo, there is this metaphor with Lo's recovery and
Hmm.
him running alongside Rike. And Rike talks about it that while they're running, Lo seems burdened and heavy and
Hmm.
just weighed down. I have seen people post about this the in like the Fizzle Force and online, just being kind of confused. So we ended with Kiss the Sky and we come into Hothouse Flower, and all of a sudden Lo is feeling like Lo was in a decent place at the end of Kiss the Sky, and we
Hmm.
come into this book and he is burdened and heavy, and we find out that he had relapsed and he's not sober right now, or he's struggling to maintain his sobriety.
Right.
And you're like, what the fuck? What just
What?
happened?
When did this happen?
Yes, when we missed something,
Right.
there's a lot of context that we're missing, and we'll get that context as we keep going.
Right.
But going back to the running is that Lo is so heavy, and
Hmm.
while he's running alongside Reich, Reich is a step ahead of him, and Lo can't keep up because he's just
Weighed down.
yeah. But yeah, so we also learned that Lo relapsed, and it was because there is a rumor going around. There was a rumor that was started that Jonathan has molested Lo.
Low.
And it's not true, but it's done damage to Jonathan's reputation, and Lo does not like this new perception that the public has of him, that his
Right.
father would abuse him like this. And he is struggling really hard, and he struggled enough that he drank. And poor Reich is like, just, I want to help you. What do you
Right.
need? Lo is just like, get me a glass of bourbon.
And Low, and again, I keep calling back to Addicted to You, but Low is such an asshole when he drinks, but he's also just such an asshole, period. Like, and, and like, you love him, but he just is. And especially to the one person who literally, right at this point, his goal in life, other than to climb those three mountains, is
Yeah.
Low. And so it pisses me off because I'm like, Lo, shut up. Like just and the whole scene about like Lo saying little big brother
Oh, yeah.
with the like contempt and just like he never says it lovingly.
Yeah.
And
And
Reich, how at the end of the chapter, Reich is like, I say little brother, I never will say it the way that Lo does. Like how that's so mean. Again, those names and those titles are so
mm-hmm.
meaningful. And, I every time I like make notes about Reich and Lo, I'm like, Reich was just made to be a big brother, and um, him holding so much care and love in his heart for Lo in these moments where he's being an asshole, and Reich is just like, he's my little brother, and he says it with so much love. It's just, there's
Yeah.
just nobody like him. Nobody like him.
The other thing to note with this is because Jonathan is like his reputation has been dragged through the mud. The
Yes.
media is really only looking for two specific people to really like actually vouch for him.
Right.
And it's Sarah Hale and Reich. And we all
Right.
know that Sarah is not going to say anything kind about him. So really it's all down to Reich. But Reich, this is something that we'll see throughout the rest of the book. Reich is struggling because he has this really bad relationship with his dad. He's not really ready to jump up and like, yeah, of course my dad is the greatest dad and he would never do anything to Lo. This is something that he's going to struggle with. And we also learned that Reich is planning on taking his trip to California. He wants to solo the Yosemite Triple Crown that
Which
has been,
is,
oh gosh, it's El Capitan, Half Dome. Why are you quizzing me? I'm supposed to
yeah,
quiz you at the end.
it's just payback in advance.
Mount Watkins. Is that even mentioned in the book?
I don't even know. I don't recall.
This doesn't sound familiar. It just sounds so lame compared to the other two. I
Um,
know.
I also made a note about Reich and how insightful he is, especially at this point in his life, which of course he is the oldest. He is the oldest brother, but
Hmm.
the the insight for how he's able to sympathize with Lo and say like that would have been me if
Yeah.
I had been in Lo's position. I had the strength to deal with it and Lo didn't because he'd been beaten down. Um and how he says like it was an intentional decision for me to be in Lo's life, and how you know that Reich makes those intentional decisions because once you're in his life you're never allowed to leave.
Right.
And it's just the Reich Meadows way. I don't
It is.
anyways. And then
It
there's the
is.
quote. We need to talk about this quote.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I know deep down there's a soul that needs love more than anyone else, and I can't help but reciprocate to the fullest degree.
Mm.
He's so hard like stone. Like they talk about
Yeah.
how he's hard like stone and Lo is hard like ice, sharp
Yeah.
like ice.
Yes.
But he has so much love in his heart. Like
Ugh,
he's just one of a kind. Like there's
I
just
know. I want to say so much, like,
me
this
too.
is, I have so much more to say and I can't because spoilers. But
I know.
yes, Reich is just so caring. That is his
Yeah.
nature. He doesn't know how to be any other way. Okay. So, then we have Daisy's very first chapter.
Oh,
This
so sad.
this is like the very first time that we get to be in her point of view.
Hmm.
And of course, it starts with I have this theory, and then it turns out to be a sad theory,
Extremely depressing theory,
which is
but
that,
true for her. You know.
yeah, it is. And I like the core six at this point, I'll call them family. They aren't friends, they're family. So,
Right.
okay, maybe friends don't last forever. That is her theory, but family's always there. But
But
she's
she doesn't
currently
know that to be true either.
no.
You know? So, like, in her mind, the only person she has is Reich.
Yeah, he's the only thing that's stuck around
And it's not like they
and
intentionally
chose
don't have
her
her.
to stick
Yes.
around, not just like circumstantially.
Yes. And it's not like they're being intentional not to be with her and to, it's not
Yeah.
like they just have so many things going on that they push her to the side like they
Yeah,
often do.
it's that they have grown up with her. I mean, part of it is the fact that she is
A lot
5 years
younger. Yeah.
younger than
Lily.
Lily, who is the next oldest sister. So she was
Right.
already really young and at a like her sisters were always going to be at a different stage in their
Right.
lives than her. So just like growing up, that's kind of I want to say like the way they learn, not like the way they learned, but that was just how they grew up. They didn't know any better. They didn't
Right.
it's like their instinct almost.
Yeah, it is.
But so Daisy's currently reading these really mean social media posts, and they are coming from one of her ex best friends at this point, that we met in Ricochet. I think this is Cleo that is posting.
Yes. I think
But
so
we
too.
met Cleo and Harper in Ricochet, and we didn't like them in Ricochet, and we hate them now in Hothouse Flower.
For so many reasons.
But I thought this was interesting when I was reading through. I have zero idea if this was intentionally written this way or if it was maybe just editing and it turned out this way. But so Daisy is looking at her laptop, reading this Facebook status, I think, about her. And a hand closes the laptop, and there's a guy in her bed. And he's the 6'3" rugged man. And he talks, and it sounds like Reich. And at this point, like, I don't think anyone is questioning that this is anyone else but Reich. But when
Hmm.
you read through, the first time that she says his name is Reich is mine. The first time we ever hear Reich's name out of her mouth, in her point of view, like out of her mouth, in her
Is
dialogue.
he's mine. And he's my
That's,
exception to the theory. Like even
yes.
deeper than just Reich is mine, which is such a obviously profound statement on its own. But she's
Yes.
saying everything I know to be true, Reich is my exception.
Yeah.
And
He
it's
will prove everything, all my theories wrong.
everything, all of
Yeah.
your theories, except for the good ones.
Yeah. But I loved
I
that.
did too. I love that. And because you do, like you see a tall 6'3" guy, and like I love
I mean,
how Krista and Becca are so intentional to put heights
oh
in their
yeah.
books because I like to know how tall people. It helps you to picture them.
Oh yeah.
And so the only 6'3" guy we know is Reich.
I was gonna say the only man that we know that sits there with fucking in like every other sentence of his.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
We get the danger of it all,
Oh, do we?
and I
Okay.
love that. Yeah, it's like right before he says, "Bad news, I don't give a fuck about your packing," and then he says, "I just give a fuck about you." We
Just like
know.
the I know the banter between them is
It's so cute, and I like how I don't know if I said I like was thinking about this here or later, but those sweet, innocent friendship things that they do, they don't
mm-hmm.
end when they're no longer just friends, you know?
No.
And that's what makes them so endearing to me, is that they continue to just be best friends, you know?
Yes. I
Anyways,
love that.
that might be a
I
spoiler,
think
but whatever.
like it's one of the things that I love about Lily and Lo too is
Mm-hmm.
those two are also best friends and they still like that dynamic is always
Right,
still there even though
right,
they are in love.
right.
So
We also
cute.
get He's My Wolf
Yeah.
right after Reich is
The
Mine.
wolf pack, my favorite wolf pack. But yeah, so we see that Daisy is suffering and she's taking medication and they're still trying to figure out like dosaging and all of that because she struggles to sleep and she has really bad nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of could take a stab at why some of this is happening. So at this point, we already know that I can't remember which one happened first, but there was a cameraman that broke into the townhouse during Kiss the Sky and came into Daisy's room and started taking pictures of her while she was sleeping. And he was caught and kicked out, but that was like a really traumatizing event for her. She was so
Obviously.
so terrified in that moment when
Right.
that happened. And then we also learn that she was assaulted by some stranger while she was alone and he started kicking like damaging her motorcycle and then he turned his attentions on her and started verbally and physically hurting her.
Was that in Kiss the Sky?
That was also in Kiss the Sky, and we
Okay.
learned that when when they're recording, they're doing like the
Yes.
questions with the guys, and Daisy brings Reich outside and shows him what happened to her bike, and at that point, all we know is that she was assaulted, and Reich took her to the doctor, and she was fine.
Yeah.
The doctor checked her out and she only had bruises. And she talks about a little bit of how these two have become friends that like one Reich is who he is and that's how he's going to present himself always. And then in order for Daisy to be his friend, she has to be the same way. Like
Right.
she can't be fake or putting on this face. Like he wants her to be real with him. And that's
Right.
all he really asked for from her. What was it? For us to have any kind of friendship, you can't pretend with me. I've been involved in lies most of my
Mm-hmm.
fucking life, and it's not something I'm particularly fond of.
Which is so contradictory to her relationship with her mom,
Yes.
because you also get how much
And
she
her
hates
sisters,
her
too. I
hair.
mean, at this point, she still puts on happy
Right.
faces for her sisters.
Right.
But yeah, mostly her mom.
But you get that, like, how much she hates her hair in this
Yeah.
chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how all she does is put on in order to please those around her or to make peace with those around her. And Reich's
Yeah.
like, no more of that. Not with me. You can't
Mm-mm.
be like that because I don't operate that way. We can't operate that way if we're going to work as
Yeah.
friends and as more.
Yes. And so then Daisy mentions that she's planning to go to Paris Fashion Week on her own, despite the fact that she is struggling to fall asleep. And Reich is worried about her being by herself. And then we get he calls her a sweetheart. Or he calls her sweetheart, not a sweetheart.
Well, she says, she's looking at him and he says, "Don't look at me like that. I can tell when
Yeah.
someone's attracted to me."
Oh, yeah. And then he gives her the same look, and she's like, he's never looked at me like that
Right.
before.
She said, it says like something switches in his eyes, and It's a look that says, "You're fucking beautiful. I want to touch you." And it's like the first time she's ever seen that.
Yes. And then the chapter ends with a knock on her door in her apartment, and it's her mom. And so they need to figure out where Reich. I like that it's where to hide Reich today. Like this
Right. This is a
routine.
common occurrence.
Where do I put him today? So into the next chapter, Reich goes to hide in the bathroom. And then Samantha barges in because she has zero boundaries with her daughters.
Zero.
With yeah, with Rose and Daisy in particular.
Right.
We see a lot
She
of
has
that.
also zero boundaries with Lily. She just doesn't care at all and pretends she
Yeah,
doesn't
she just
exist. So
fair enough. Yeah, she just doesn't. Lily is. She would have zero
she would
boundaries with
if
Lily.
she knew she existed.
Yeah,
Boom roasted Samantha.
fucking hate her.
Hate her.
I'm riding the hate train so hard right now.
This, yeah, you just came off of Scott, like dealing with
I still
Scott.
hated Samantha at the end of Kiss the
Me
Sky. She
too.
was
Oh,
not endearing me
yeah,
at
we're gonna
all.
really love her by the end of this one, so can't wait for that.
But yeah, I mean, you have it in here about the like Daisy. So at this point, Daisy is 18. She's moved out of the house. She's trying to be this independent adult, and her mom
Right,
just like busts in. She's like, your apartment's a mess. It's a pigsty. Like, why aren't you getting it cleaned? And trying to offer all of the like, I could get you a maid or whatever. And Daisy's just like, I want to be. I want to live the way I want to live, and I'm allowed to do that because I've moved out. But she
right.
doesn't know how to set that boundary with her mom and
I
tell her,
think no,
yeah, I know.
but I think that it's such an interesting. I kind of grew up the same way, which is a lot of the reason why I relate a lot to Daisy, because I grew up too fast. Like I never was. I wouldn't say never was a kid, but by the time I was 13, I was nearly a full-fledged adult emotionally and had to grow up fast
Yeah,
because of trauma and circumstances in my life. And that, because of that, you are desiring that respect from early years in your life that
yeah,
a lot of people don't desire respect over love. Um, but whenever you have to grow up too fast and you feel like you're an adult already,
yeah,
you desire that respect earlier. And so when you turn 18, in your mind, that's all you're waiting for. You're like, I desire this
right,
respect as it is. So when I turn 18, it'll actually happen. And then it doesn't because in your mind and in everyone else's mind, nothing has happened except you had a
right.
birthday party.
Yeah. I mean, technically you're adult, but I mean, even I am guilty of like, you're 18, you're still a
No,
kid to me.
exactly. Exactly. And so am I. And I can imagine how like people who were in their 40s were looking at me when I turned 18, but I was like, I'm ready.
Oh
Like,
yeah, in my head
cut
I
me
was like,
loose.
"Oh, absolutely. I'm allowed to vote right now." Like
Right.
I'm so worldly. I know things at this point cuz 18 I am an adult. But for Daisy, she like is actually worldly. I mean,
Right.
she has been working. I think she started modeling at 14. Was that when it
14.
was?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
14.
So she's been working for the
Four
past 4
years.
years and being treated like she was an adult. And so, like, she has traveled the world. She's worked with people of all ages at this point.
Hmm.
Like, she is pretty worldly. So, in her instance, and with her having to grow up a lot faster, yeah,
Yep.
you hit 18 and it's just like that was all you needed all to be able to be like where yes, I
Yes.
am an adult now, please respect my opinions and the fact that I am an adult and independent and can make my own choices.
And I think that's funny too because she almost is like the oldest child in that way as far as child order psychology. Um, just usually the youngest is like the baby and they're fine being the baby.
Yes.
Like they're like, oh yeah,
They're
like but
totally
she's
happy
like,
being
exactly,
Well, I wouldn't really know. I
coddled.
assume my brother feels that way, but
My brother probably feels that way. I'm the oldest, and I honestly relate so much to Rose in the way that she feels that responsibility. But
yeah,
I think the reason I still feel like I can relate to Daisy is because Daisy's not your typical youngest child. Like,
no,
she holds a lot of that responsibility for herself because of how she was treated and
yeah,
how she has been in the world. And yeah, it's just weird because the order doesn't make sense in this situation. Like,
yeah.
honestly, Lily kind of acts more like the youngest than anything else. But anyways,
But yes, we see a lot of like how Samantha and Daisy's dynamic is in this chapter, and I honestly just the way how overbearing she is. I cannot
yeah,
imagine how Daisy was able to live her life with her like this constantly. But
and maintain her spirit.
yeah,
Like, that's the thing I envy so much about Daisy is she grew up too fast. Like, she didn't get to have her teenage years really,
yeah,
but she still maintains that childlike spirit where she's just
yeah,
free and happy and like carefree even and
yeah.
fearless. And I admire that so much about her that she maintained that and held on to that through all
Yes.
the hardships and mental and emotional stress she was under at all times and physical.
Yeah. So, right as Samantha is about to leave the apartment, Reich starts the shower, and now Samantha knows that there's a third person in the apartment, and Daisy lies and is like, "Oh, it's Lily. Do you want to talk to her?" And Samantha's like, "No, I'm gonna leave now." Which just, yeah, I just hate that Daisy knows, like, oh,
Yeah,
Mom doesn't ever talk to Lily. She's gonna run if she has the opportunity to talk to Lily. So yeah,
right.
it's Lily. And then she says she hasn't forgiven my sister yet, which just hurts my heart thinking about Addicted for Now. There was a chapter in that book where Lily is checking off like, okay, I did the press conference addressing my sex addiction. I'm going to the therapist that my parents told me to.
I'm getting married.
Yeah,
Like,
Lo and I are getting married at the way my parents have dictated. And at the end of that, my parents are going to forgive me. And then we reach the end of Kiss the Sky, and Lo and Lily's marriage no longer is a stipulation for
right.
anything. But then we get even further past this. It's been over a year since that. And even Daisy can recognize that Samantha hasn't forgiven Lily at all for this. And I just hate that Lily was like, "Oh yeah, I do all of these things and Mom will love me again and she won't hate me for what I've done." And Samantha just holds a fucking grudge and
She
treats her
does.
daughter so poorly, and I hate her. And what else is new?
Yeah, I don't even know that she's holding a grudge as much as she's just a B word. I don't know how to say it.
You could say it.
She's just a bitch. Like,
She
we
is.
just hate Samantha. Like, I don't think that, like, obviously it's things that are making her that way, but she's just that way by nature as
Yeah.
well. Like, she's just the worst. I was about to say,
Oh,
I don't know, can I cuss on this? And then I
yeah.
realized I've been saying fucking the whole time because of
Yeah, we've been
Reich.
saying fucking. I've said distributor.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you have the note about what Reich says that Samantha doesn't care about her opinion at all, which yeah, everyone can recognize that
Yeah.
Samantha is just a horrible person.
Which is just a further showing the lack of respect and how Daisy, that's all she really wants.
Yeah,
And even what you have to say doesn't matter. Not just your freedom and your independence, but I don't
your
respect
voice.
anything about, yes, your voice.
All right. So then we get into Reich is in the shower.
Yes, he is.
I'm trying to think of a better way. I like we were literally just discussing the fact that I've said porn and we've said
Right.
fuck. He's jacking off.
Right.
And trying very hard not to imagine Daisy, but he's imagining Daisy.
And it's the first time you really see that
Yeah.
attraction, like,
Yeah.
and
Well, yeah. Because what
not
you,
see it, but the first time he admits it.
yeah. It just like, after coming from the chapter where Daisy was like, this is the first time he's actually looked at me like this. And
Mm-hmm.
it was meant to be him looking at her like he finds her attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So we've kind of understood at this point that Reich and Daisy have this flirty relationship that has
Right.
been a point of contention throughout the series up till this point. But Reich is intentional when he wants to be, and he has been very clear about, no, I've only looked, like, if I looked at her this way, then I'd actually want to be with her, and I haven't looked at
Right.
her that way. And now we're getting the, no, he, okay, so yes, confirmed, he does actually find her
Confirmed. Yes.
attractive. So yeah, he just talks about, oh, so he's driving to the Princeton house, and he's being tailed by the paparazzi, and he talks about how this is something that he doesn't think he'll ever be able to get used to. And it was not after I watched a fearless girl go from being completely fucking fine to scared of the dark to traumatized. It's not just the cameras and invasive media, it's everything that comes with it. Her fucked up old prep school friends being one of those. And it's just one of those things in the writing that I really like, that we still don't know what it is that her friends did. We know
Right.
they were they are assholes, and like they're just unkind, but clearly they've done something to the point of Daisy is traumatized, and it's like, what did they do?
Right.
We don't know at this point, and it's something that just you want to keep reading to figure out what's going
Yeah.
on. I really like
You
that.
do and you don't.
You're worried about what you could learn. So then Reich shows up to the Princeton house, and to clarify, this is where Lily, Rose, and Connor all live together. And Reich mentions that he would never want to live in a house again with Lo because he had to do it in the townhouse, and he thinks that they just need space, that they would tear each other apart otherwise. And that's not something Reich ever wants to do. He never wants to hit Lo or fight his brother. That is something that's very important to him. Something to mention
Just something to
for
hold on to.
no particular reason,
No
but you
reason.
remember that. Um, yeah. So then you have it mentioned too. When Reich comes in, he sees Connor. Connor's not drinking
Mm-hmm.
because Lo is struggling.
Relapse.
Yeah.
But also, it, again, I keep talking about Addicted to You. I don't know. I guess it just sets up everything. So
It
maybe I
does.
shouldn't
Yeah.
apologize for that. But the, in Addicted to You, Connor drinks with Lo, even though
Hmm.
Connor's the smartest person in every room. He knows that Lo's an alcoholic and he still drinks with him. And
Yeah.
Rose lights him up for it. And
Yeah.
so, not that I think, I even see it as like, of course, Connor doesn't want to do it because Lo relapsed, but I think it shows respect for Rose too. Like, he,
Yeah.
not just like, oh, I don't want to get in a fight with my wife, because of course he loves to fight Rose, but like, it shows a
This,
level of respect of like, I heard you and I'm with you on it. Like,
yeah.
I think in this instance that we don't even notice that there's no alcohol. I think Reich notices it because he is trained to notice that.
Yeah.
But like, obviously Lowe's an alcoholic, but there probably wasn't even talk about there being alcohol at the party. Like,
Yeah.
Reich is just so in tuned to that he's the one that's like, okay, where's the alcohol? Is there alcohol in here? What's going on here?
And I want to say, I think he's in tune to it less because he used to be an alcoholic and more because his brother is the
No,
alcoholic. And,
100%.
and like, this is, all right, how do I help Lo? Is there alcohol? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I also love seeing everyone's personality with how they say the exact same thing. And you get this in the books moving forward too, where
Oh, yeah.
everybody's texting the same thing and you can tell who it is without even knowing who it is.
Yes. So Reich was running late to the party, and he
Yes.
was getting a whole bunch of texts from everyone. And yes, without even reading who sent it, you know exactly who sent
Should we
all
just
of
read
it.
them? Because I think they're
Go
so
for it.
funny.
Yes.
Are you reading it or do you want to guess? I'm gonna read it and you guess who it
You
is.
read it. I'll guess.
Okay. I highly doubt you have the capability to read a clock, but you're verging on 46 minutes late. And here I was going to reward you with a treat.
That is Connor.
That is Connor. If you disappoint my little sister, I'll personally snip off your balls and feed them to Connor's cat.
That would be Rose.
Can you be here on time, please?
Sounds like Lily.
The girls are getting pissed and I'm not too happy with you either.
Hello, Lo.
Hello, hello. Just so, and notice Daisy doesn't say a word, which
No, Daisy doesn't care.
she doesn't care at all.
Yes. So they're making a breakfast dinner for Daisy's going away party before she leaves for Paris. And all of the girls aren't around at the moment. Daisy, they say that Daisy is sitting alone in the garage, and Rose and Lily are in the bathroom together because of female menstruation. And
Right.
Lo was not going to
Lo said,
argue
that's
any.
enough for me.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to Rose and female menstruation.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna take a step back with that.
We'll stay away from that.
But so while they're alone, Lo and Connor ask Reich about, listen, you haven't brought anyone around in a while. You used to be this serial dater, and you have not brought anyone home since Daisy moved into the same apartment complex as you. And we've noticed that Daisy is also not brought anyone around, and they're just trying to feel out what is going on. And yeah, I like the Reich has
It's
three
three
things to say.
things. Of course he does.
One, he wants his privacy. Or one, he wants his privacy. Two, everyone blows everything out of proportion. And three, fuck you and fuck off.
It's so funny to me.
But yeah, so Reich explains in his head, not out loud, that he hasn't actually dated anyone since Daisy moved into his apartment, and that was 4 months ago. And these quotes, I'm the thing that can be
No.
tossed aside. Poor Reich. They're both these forgotten.
Right.
Daisy is the forgotten sister. Reich is the forgotten son. But yeah, Reich just justifies that he hasn't. So it's Reich says that he hasn't found anyone that he can tie himself. That he wants to tie himself to. And but he says that he's not sure that he ever will. And Lo is like saying this with certainty. Absolutely, you will. You're not going to be alone forever. It's like, on the one hand, Lo doesn't want him with a specific girl, but on the other hand, Lo, like, you can see that he has
Right.
love for his brother, that he
Right.
doesn't want his brother to be alone. He can kind of recognize that he's missing something and or someone in his life, and he doesn't want him to be lonely. But there's just this one obstacle that Lo can't, this one idea that Lo can't get over.
Right.
That would make Reich very happy.
And I wonder how much Connor knows at this point, just because he's Connor.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as we get into the book, we see Connor picking up on things that Lo doesn't. But even now, you know, Connor is very adept at reading people, and
Yes.
I wonder how much even Connor is keeping from Lo at this point with what he suspects. Not that anything's happening, but he can tell Reich is lying.
Right. Yeah. I think so. I think Connor definitely, there's a lot that he's picking up on that we just don't get to know about because we're not in his head, but he has probably clocked a lot of things that are going on.
We have the end of this chapter where he says, we each have our roles, and I know mine is to keep an eye on this girl and that guy. And I just don't ever want to be faced with the decision of having to choose between them. And if that day comes, then fuck me. So you see the seriousness for Reich of like, he has two things. He can have one, he can't have the other. But it's just, this is gonna blow up.
Yeah, and it's that thing that he mentioned that earlier in this chapter is, I am the thing that can be tossed aside. So it's like, if he takes a step too far in either direction, he feels like it's so easy for him to be I don't remember if it was in this chapter or not, that like he talks about how Lo has been in Daisy's life longer than he has, and like Reich is like, everyone else has been in each other's lives a whole lot longer than Reich has been in their lives. And yeah, he just feels like he's on very tenuous ground, and he's important. Like, he is important to these people, but he doesn't feel like he is. That if he takes one wrong move, it would not be some hardship to cut him out of their
Right.
lives and
Right.
not be in it. Yeah, which could not be farther from the truth, but yeah, that's where we
Could
are.
not.
That's where his headspace is at. But then, yes, so the next chapter, Daisy is sitting on her motorcycle, just drawing on a map for Reich for his road trip. All of these fun. She's like, I've heard these places are cool. She's never been there. She's just like, I've heard about this, so I think you should check it out for me. But it's so sad too, because she's like, Lily and Rose went into the bathroom, and I tried to go in, but they shut the door on me. And it's just like not to be a big spoiler, but this happens in Thrive too. We see this scene in Thrive, and I don't remember them ever mentioning that Daisy was by the door and they purposely closed the door
Right.
on her. Like, you're right. This is just so. They're not intentionally trying to cut her out. They're just.
But they're not being intentional
The
to
instinct
include
is
her.
not to include her.
Yeah. We just said the exact same thing at the same time.
Look at us. Brainwaves. We are the same person.
We are.
But yeah, there's the line that Daisy Calloway is powered by the sun.
Which is a sad thing and a happy thing, you know?
Well, yeah, because she's so bright and carefree during the day, and then at night things just turn for the worse for her.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing you can do about it. And then Daisy, while they're talking, Daisy asks if it would be possible for her to ride the motorcycle with her facing backwards on the motorcycle and Reich is facing forwards.
Yes. It is.
Yeah, I think it's possible, but I don't know. So they try it out. Reich is not the kind of person that's like, no, I'm not gonna. This sounds stupid. I'm not gonna try it. Like, all right, you asked. Yeah, let's see how this goes.
Yeah. He even says it like, I don't dismiss her wild fantasies. Like, and I think that that translates for the rest of their lives too. You
Yeah,
know, like,
100%.
he's the only one who can keep up with them. And so he doesn't why would he? He's like, I want her to
Yep,
be authentically herself. And if that's what she
he can
wants to
keep up
do, we're
with
going to do
her,
it.
and he also like some of these ideas sound fun to him too,
Yeah,
and why the
exactly.
hell not?
Like he likes it. Yeah.
But just oh god, their banter. She's like, "You're right. It is kind of uncomfortable in this position. We don't fit well at all. I know how we can fit better." And he cuts her off, and she's like, "I was just gonna suggest taking off my boots. What were you thinking?"
Oh, she's just so silly, you know. I
She
love
is.
her. She's so silly.
Yeah, she's so quick with all of her jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I love her sense of humor. And then with this, we also learn that Daisy at this point has been with 6 guys. Don't remember if she has dated 6 guys or she slept with six
Slept with
guys.
6 guys.
Okay, so she slept with 6 guys and that she's testing out the waters. And then when Reich says that he's not surprised by her number, we do see a little bit of the insecurity and like the media getting to her head of, you're not surprised, is that because my older sister is a sex addict? And like there is this whole discussion around Daisy and whether she could also be a sex addict if it's hereditary or just like being in close proximity to her older sister. Could she wind up being the same way? And they have been discussing this about Daisy since she was 16 years old when when Lily's sex addiction was first made public, and it's very much on her brain all the time. Poor Daisy.
Yeah, and you also see Reich say, no, it's because you try a lot of stuff and I'm sure you felt like you were missing out on something. Like
Yeah.
he it shows how deeply he knows her
Yeah.
because he just part of it because he's the same way probably, but also he just immediately dismisses those insecurities and is like, hey, no, that's not at all what I think. Like, here's what I actually think, and I know
Yeah.
you, and so this is what I think. And I love that he has that ability to make her feel seen and understood in a way that nobody else even attempts to try and do. And he just doesn't even have to try, you know?
Yeah. It's just it's innate for him.
Right.
He knows her, and yeah, there's no question about it. So then into the next chapter, Reich and Daisy also recognize that there are lines drawn and there are boundaries. Like they have these boundaries as friends, but yeah, there is just like so much of their dynamic is just them being them, like the
Yep.
way that Reich intended that
Just
their
how they
friendship be.
operate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how they are. They're flirty by nature.
Yep.
Um, they're always like that, and it's hard for them to really maintain boundary that other people think that they
Right.
should have.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily the boundary that they want to draw. It's
At this point.
low. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like low, and her mom being like, no, you need to be friends, and there is a specific way that we think you should be friends,
Right.
and it's not the way that you two are
You
actually
want,
friends.
yes.
So then after that, Daisy talks a little bit more about these 6 guys that she's been with, and we hear how fucking awful all of them have treated her. None of them have lasted more than 5 minutes with her. And poor Daisy's
Truly.
like, is this my problem? Is it me?
No, baby.
No, my sweet summer child, it is not you.
Truly is a sweet summer child.
But then after that talk, in the middle of this, while they're still sitting on the bike with her facing backwards and him facing, they're sitting on the bike together. Lo walks in. Excellent timing, bro.
I
And
had to know it was going to happen.
of course we did. That's what all of this is about. And of course they're not doing anything, but it definitely does not look platonic from the outside.
Right.
And Lo loses
Just
his
shit.
mind. Yeah, he's very angry and accuses them of sleeping with, like, having sex with each other. No,
Oh, calm down.
Lo, calm down. And I love that Reich is like, we might as well just have sex if you think we've done it
Right.
1,000 times. And Lo's like, whoa, 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 who said anything about 1,000 times? I can't stomach thinking of you guys doing it once, let alone 1,000 times. Like, oh God, Lo.
I love how she says, I would actually love to be violated on that motorcycle by Reich Meadows. I'm kind of like,
Lo,
yeah,
yeah, Lo did
same.
accuse
Oh, and you're not good enough for her. You realize that, right?
Lo.
Low.
Yeah. Lo is also, we continue to see his frustration with Reich is like, I don't like being accused of things that I didn't do. And
Right.
Lo is very quick to turn it around and be like, well, how do you think dad feels? And
Which shows that so much of Lowe's anger at the moment is about that.
yes. Yeah. Because we definitely ended, like, we ended Addicted for Now, which was the last book where we had Lo's point of view. And he was really grateful to Reich for everything that he's done for him and Lily. And I don't think that's gone away. It's just that these new circumstances have cropped up. And I think Lo is so used to Reich being this support system and helping him get through a lot of really hard times. And in this one instance, Reich isn't doing that. And Lo
Right.
doesn't know how to deal with this. So yeah, there's a lot of frustration that's stemming from this specific situation that's going on.
And even Daisy, like, it's so unfortunate that this is how Lo feels because, even for Daisy, because aside from the attraction and the potential taboo of it, Daisy says, I think my health is the best when I'm with Reich. Just, she's like, I'm just healthier. Like, I'm just okay with him. Like, Lo, I mean, she's not healthy without him. Like, which isn't even like a dependency issue. Like, it's simply, he is good for me. Like, he
Yes.
makes me better.
Yes. He gives me this sense of security that I
Right.
need
And
right now.
safety. Right.
And Lo is, yes, he is a bit of an asshole and makes sure that he has the last word. I didn't accept you into my life so you could bang my girlfriend's little sister. Don't make me regret letting you in. And then he walks away and has the last word. Got
I
it.
do love how Rose is like, I don't see the problem. Like, because it really is, because you have that hot tempered triad, which I guess that's kind of, you have Rose and
I've
Reich.
mentioned the hot temper.
Okay, I was about to say, you have the hot tempered triad, and one of them is with Daisy, one of them is vehemently against this, and the other one's so, like, blasé about it.
Consenting.
They're both like, I don't know, you just see the three biggest personalities in the room all have very different reactions to
Yes.
Daisy and Reich.
They are
And
on very three different corners of
very,
that triangle.
yes, they are. But
Ooh.
at the same time, I think it must be so nice for Daisy to hear that Rose is
Yeah.
like, that's not problematic. Like, what?
No,
Everybody
I
else is
think that
telling,
is,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, she'd be in her corner.
Right. And then my favorite, do you need a hug? Because if you do, Lily can give you one.
Rose knows her weaknesses.
She does. She does. I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to hug.
Yeah, no. And then, yeah, this chapter ends with I wish I could be with these five people and never have to face the world alone. But Paris is my test.
Want to
It's a
pass,
big
but a
test for
part of
you,
me
Daisy.
wonders.
It's a big test. I believe in you, Daisy. All
But
right.
you
So
need your
then,
people to do it. You know, you can't do it alone. And that's
yeah, no.
what Lo doesn't
You gotta have
recognize.
community. Yeah. She needs her village around her. So into the next chapter, Daisy is washing the dishes after dinner, and Reich comes in, and he wants to talk with her about the fact that she didn't eat any of the food that they made her. And I couldn't help but notice, like, he said that she pushed her eggs around. Like, she says that she ate the fruit, but, like, eggs can be considered a healthy food.
For
Like, when
sure.
you're on a diet, you could eat eggs. It's just protein for you. And she won't even eat that.
Yeah.
She's trying to keep weight off because of the Paris fashion show. And Reich also mentions that Rose has mentioned Daisy's irregular periods
Hmm.
because of her weight, that she is underweight at this point.
Right. They mention her being 5'11" and 120 pounds. And I'm 6 feet and I'm way over 120 and I'm a pretty, like, I'm a healthy weight. And I think the lowest I've ever been is like 140 and I was like tiny, teeny tiny. And so
Yeah.
as somebody who is that height, I can confirm that 120 is very low for this height, you know.
So Reich says that he's worried that she can't eat and she can't sleep. And Daisy chooses this moment to quote,
A Mary-Kate
yeah,
and Ashley
it's,
movie.
yes, it's got to be that can't eat, can't sleep, reach for the stars, over the moon,
Hmm.
World Series kind of stuff. And Reich's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you talking about? I'm trying to tell you that you need to eat. And she's like, it's a quote about love.
I could be in love with you. Oh, okay, Daisy.
Yeah, and then we'll be damn fucking sure about this. Any love that fucking give will never hurt a woman. Eat your cereal.
I love that. I love how he's just like, eat your fucking cereal.
But yeah, and then Reich has some not so nice things to say about Samantha, and
Yeah, same.
he points out that, like, she's this way with all of her. Samantha is this way with all of her daughters, not just Daisy. She doesn't treat any of her daughters. Yeah, she's nothing but cruel to Lily. She fights with Rose constantly, and she treats you like you're a little fucking doll. She likes to dress up and show off. So he points out all of this.
So
Yeah,
harsh.
harsh but true.
Um,
And then it
and
drives
then he
me
has
fucking nuts
the,
that you do things you hate just to please other people, which is
yeah.
something that Reich has been trying to really show Daisy that she doesn't have to do. It's very clear to him that she is a people pleaser, and he would really like
Hmm.
her to stop being a people pleaser and just speak for herself.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that leads into him saying, don't be a
Mm-hmm.
fucking mannequin, because in Ricochet, and I remember telling you
Yeah.
about this whenever I saw it, that he says, you're just a, shouldn't you be a voiceless mannequin? And in the moment, it seems like he's just being an asshole, but he is pointing out the most obvious thing that he sees about
Yeah.
Daisy, and it's that she doesn't have a
Right.
voice. And it's because she let someone else tell her not to have a voice. And I just, I love that from Ricochet to here, he's like, it's changed from shouldn't you just be this way to don't be
Right.
this way. And you're not the girl who doesn't have a voice. You get to
Yeah.
choose what you want to be and what you want to say.
We love this growth.
Yes, we do. And it shows the growth in their relationship too, where he's not just being sassy with her. He's like, no, I know I have influence in your life
Yeah, and
now. And like,
I care about you and how you feel, and I want you to actually have, yeah, I want you to have a voice because I care about you and I think you
yeah,
should be able to speak up for yourself.
right. And that comes back over and over and over again with Daisy. And it's, you kind of just start to see that ball get rolling,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like, we're gonna, you're gonna find your voice
Yeah.
again.
And then again, it's like Daisy notes that Reich is so passionate about her speaking up for herself, and I've been there with my own mom, and it's not fucking fun. And yeah,
Mm,
Reich was the kid that he was the yes mom kid,
yeah,
and that was the life that he lived, and he has fought really hard not to be that anymore, and he's trying really. And I love that it's he fought so hard not to be that for himself, and then he
hmm,
continues to fight. Like he knows how hard this fight is, but he's willing to step in and help Daisy keep going. And it's he's willing to help Daisy fight this fight too. And it's the same as I'm thinking out loud now, but it's this like this is the way Reich is. He's always
hmm,
ready to be that person to fight with you because
yeah,
he's been there. He struggled with his own sobriety. He was an alcoholic,
right,
and he knows how hard that fight was, and he fought that fight and has overcome that. And then Lowe's come
right,
along and he's struggling with his, and Reich is right next to him, ready to fight the fight with him.
yep, running the race with him.
Oh, Reich. He tries so hard.
Oh, right,
He cares so much.
he does. And then they hug,
Yeah.
the kind of.
Yes.
Daisy
Yeah,
hugs him.
he's not really ready to reciprocate. She talks about how tense he is when she hugs him, because she wants to know if she hugs him, would she be able to tell if he feels anything for her, and he is just
Mm.
tense. Um,
And but she also says it's hard to find guys taller than me. Can relate. My husband is not taller than me. He's half an inch shorter, but then she puts her head on his chest and he says, "When did I become your fucking pillow?" And she says, "It's safe here." And I'm like, "It is." Like you are safe with him. And then he kisses the top of
they're so cute.
They're so
It's those tiny little weensy moments. You're like, yes, just give me all the crumbs. I love it. Keep me fed. And then another thing to just maybe mention and remember in the back of our heads is Reich does spot a celebrity crush magazine that's sitting in the house, and it has a headline about Lily sleeping with Lowe and Reich.
right.
Something that just never fucking goes away. And
Yes,
then
never. Literally.
And then, yeah, there's this mention of Reich is the only one that can keep up with Daisy, even though she has a
Mm-hmm.
bodyguard. We learn her bodyguard's name is Mikey Black.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he can't keep up with you.
And then she talks about Mikey Black. He smells like salt water and candy, sometimes even cupcakes. Those are selling points.
Those are selling points. Hello.
There's nothing better than cupcakes except maybe chocolate cake, but that's still in the cupcake family. And Reich is like, sex is better than chocolate.
She says, not for me.
Oh, into the next chapter, they're back at Daisy's apartment, and we see Reich going through their nightly routine, which is Daisy's very paranoid at this point, and she needs to watch Reich locking all of the windows, the doors, everything, making sure the apartment is secure and safe, and it helps for her to watch and know with certainty that it's happening. And even still, she'll ask him to redo a lock or
Yep.
recheck something just because that is the way her brain is working right now. That is this trauma that the way this is affecting
Right.
her. She keeps apologizing, and he's like, stop. You do not need to apologize for this.
Classic people pleaser.
And Reich also shows her the last safety measure that he has in place for her, which is he keeps a gun in the nightstand, which
Yeah.
hopefully he would never have to use, but it's there for her peace of mind.
Right.
Yeah, so then they climb into bed together and go to like Daisy can't sleep, but they like climb into bed together so that she can maybe fall asleep. But it's this her
Mm-hmm.
legs intertwine with mine, like it's the most natural position. I'm sitting here like, yeah, because like
It is.
you two being together is just so natural.
It is. It's so natural.
So then Daisy does fall asleep, and she wakes Reich up in the middle of the night accidentally. She kicks him awake, and she starts moaning. And yeah, you wrote, well, at least she's not having a nightmare. And it's true. So if Daisy's not having a nightmare, the other thing that she seems to have when she's very deep in her sleep are sex dreams.
Right. With the 6'3"
Yes.
man that's in
Yes,
bed with her.
she is moaning, and more specifically, moaning Reich's name. And
Right's like, shit!
yes, Reich is like, I cannot deal with this. I can't
Literally cannot do this.
lay in
Yeah.
bed next to her while she's going through this. And yeah, so he climbs out of bed and he's like, yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing that he mentions where, fuck, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm about to tug her shirt down and oh, I climb off the bed, my erection trying to burst through my fucking pants. Her body is skinnier than it's ever been. I want to fucking feed her first and then I want to fuck her hard.
Hmm. Yep.
Yes, his priority is always like take care of her,
Her. Yes.
physically help, make sure she's healthy, and then take care of her the other
Yes.
way.
Yes, exactly.
Um, but yeah, so he goes into the bathroom and he tries to get himself off and tries so hard not to think about Daisy, which is
Right.
just the universe is truly, truly acting against him. Like he just tries to
Truly.
imagine a faceless woman and she morphs into Daisy and he's like, all right, let me go find.
Because he can still hear
Yes,
her.
yes. He's just in the bathroom. He's not that far away.
Poor Reich.
So then he pulls up a magazine and he's like trying to flip through and find literally anyone else that could help him. And he flips it open and it's a spread of Daisy in
Of
lingerie.
course it
Like,
is.
fine, fuck it. Okay. Yeah, so he gives up. And yeah, so into the next chapter, Daisy wakes up and she is confused and disoriented. She's not sure what's going on. But when she wakes up, she notices that the bathroom door looks like it's ajar when
Hmm.
Reich closed it the night before, and also her bedroom door looks like it has been opened, and she panics and she's trying to rationalize it too. Like she's like, it's just Reich. Reich is he's on the other side of the door. I'm fine, but there is this anxiety that she is struggling with, this paranoia, and she grabs the gun.
Hmm.
Um, and points it towards whoever is going to walk into the room, and it's just Reich, and she's so sorry for almost shooting him.
Right.
Poor Daisy. And he's like, you weren't going to shoot me. The safety was on. Oh, oh,
Right. Oh, okay.
got it. But Reich does feel bad because he had left the apartment to shower at his own place, and he was kind of hoping that she wouldn't wake up before he got back.
Right.
And it just like makes him worry even more about her being
About
alone
Paris.
in Paris. This is just it's
Yeah.
not really inspiring confidence that she will be okay by herself.
Right.
And then Daisy also knows that she mentions that she has orgasmed, but it's something that she's only ever been able to do in her sleep. She's never,
Which is so
yeah.
sad.
She, and at this point, like we learned in, I can't remember if it was Addicted for an Hour, Kiss the Sky, that, I think it was Kiss the Sky, that Daisy has never actually been able to make herself orgasm either.
Right.
No guy has ever made her come, and she has not been able to make herself come. And
Right.
she's very frustrated that she only seems to make it happen while she's asleep and can't remember anything.
Right.
Poor Daisy. Yeah.
She's so funny. She says, "Is this a Reichmeta's test? You only like the ones who can swallow quickly?"
Yes,
He's like,
they're doing like a chugging contest,
"Oh yes, they are.
just trying to see who can drink a lightning bolt faster. But everything is
Really good
innuendo with
ideas,
them.
guys. Always. I love it. I think it's so funny."
But then Reich brings up this conversation that I absolutely hate. This is why I power through the first half of
Ugh. Yeah.
through the first half of like all of a lot of these books because
Yeah.
everyone's in a place that I
They're with
don't
other
want them to be
people.
in. Yeah.
All
So
right.
Reich says that he thinks they should both start dating again. And Daisy's like, yeah, okay, I'll find another boyfriend if you want me to. And Reich is sitting here like, that's not what I mean. He's just trying to be like, we can't let each other keep us from being with other people if that's what we want. But it's
Right.
not him being like, go out and find someone to just like, don't let me stand in your way.
Right.
It's not go out and get this guy because I think you should go out and find some guy. And all of
Right.
this whole conversation just tears my heart apart.
Me too.
But he mentions that he's not used to abstaining for this long. And then
Hmm.
Daisy asks him if, would you like to be my number seven?
Yes, he would.
We all would like him to be your number seven. Other people. Yep.
Hmm. And then him saying, I'm still 7 fucking years older than you right now. And she says, really? I should file a complaint to the woman who made me 7 years younger than you. Yes, we
Yeah.
should.
Let's file.
Let's complain against
Yeah, I will
Samantha.
file all of the complaints against Samantha. I've got a whole list of things to complain about her. But yeah, she talks about her age.
Yeah, I started modeling when I was 14. It's right after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
And right
right.
when I entered the industry, no one ever treated me like I was a teenager. I was doing things that people in their 20s do. And yeah, this is the
Yeah.
conversation that Connor, not conversation, but this was something that Connor was thinking of back in Kiss the Sky, that Daisy has been treated like a working adult for so long, for 4 years
Right.
at this point. And her maturity levels are at a different place than most people her age. And
Right.
she acts goofy just because I that's her nature. But she is
Hmm.
very mature for her age, and nobody treats her that way. Lo and Lily, especially, definitely, and her sisters. Lo and her sisters really try and treat her like the younger sister that she is.
Yeah, they do.
And it's something that she just struggles with.
But I like that they wrote her that way and that she wasn't just a young, naive girl that Reich ended up
Oh
with,
yeah,
like that they were intentional to be like, she's not a normal 18-year-old. Otherwise, Reich, it wouldn't make
yeah,
sense for
no,
Reich.
oh yeah. So he says, "I don't want to lead you on days we can't fucking happen," which bullshit.
Literally bullshit.
Um,
Yes, you can.
and then he says that and Daisy's like, all right, so maybe I do need to move on. And she contemplates like maybe I just need to move out of Philly
Hmm.
and go to New York and try and start over. And you can tell Reich is not really a fan of that idea, and he gives her a hug.
Ugh.
And then Samantha barges in. Why does
Yeah,
why can't
well,
anyone just like give them this moment on the motorcycle?
yeah,
Someone barges in on them.
it just adds to the tension though. It just makes that so much more
Yeah.
satisfying. So, can't complain even though I'm complaining
I'll complain about Samantha always.
all day.
But yeah, so Samantha walks in and Reich becomes like her center of her attention at this moment. And she just like
Hmm.
threatens Reich that if she ever finds out that he had sex with her while she was underage, she will call the cops on him for statutory rape. And she's like, what did your mother teach you? How to hate my father? How to hate my half brother? Those didn't really come in handy, did they? And that makes Samantha speechless, which is something we love. Just shut the fuck up, Samantha. But she also just pushes Reich to. She's also trying to urge Reich to clear Jonathan's name. Like, why aren't you sticking up for your dad? And Reich is very open, even with Samantha, about why it's so hard for him to say anything about Jonathan because he has
Hmm.
seen Jonathan abuse Lo, not physically, but he has verbally abused Lo, and it's not really a secret. Like everyone has witnessed this at this point.
Right.
And also, like his entire childhood was trying to make sure that Jonathan's reputation was as squeaky clean as possible, and he didn't like living that way. That was not the life he wanted to live, and he's being forced to go back to that place, and he doesn't want to be there
Right.
anymore.
And you get which this is classic Reich. Why is your shirt off? Because I took it off. Like, you just get this sass in the middle of
Yeah.
him
He's so
having
yeah.
these hard
He's
talks.
so honest. Like, yeah. I don't have a shirt on because I fucking took it off. What are you gonna do about it,
But
Samantha?
I do think that this is also, I keep saying this is the Reich Meadows way, but it just is. Like, he is just honest and he doesn't shy away. And so And I can relate in this way because I'm a very open person as well about my personal life. Like if somebody asks me a question, I'm just going to be very honest with them. Like I honestly think I relate more to Reich than I do to any other character in this entire universe because yeah, I'm also in this way, just very open and honest even with people I don't like. Like I'm just like, yeah, this is what's going on with me and this is why I feel this way
I
about
sense it.
this.
I sense this about you. I know.
You do?
From what I know about you, yeah, I see that. I definitely see that.
Which is it's cool too because I didn't used to be like this. I used to be very afraid of like being vulnerable, but you s- I see myself in like 17-year-old Reich
Mm-hmm.
and I do and the growth between my teenage years and my adulthood of just like no, I'm not afraid. Like I'm not scared, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'll even add that, like, there are plenty of times where I might, I don't know if this will go into the podcast or not, but
It's fine.
I'll show you messages that maybe make me kind of annoyed, and you'll sit there and be like, "Yeah, you've got a voice. Go ahead, use it.
Yeah,
You say what's on
do
your
it.
mind,
Do it.
Haley. You're
Yes,
just like right.
I'm a
You're like,
big
you're an advocate for
I'm
the voiceless.
very much
Yep,
so. And
absolutely
like
right.
my even my husband, like he's very quiet and calm. And since meeting me, and now we've been married for 4 years, he is more outspoken because I'm over there like, yeah, yeah, go do it, say it, do it.
We love that. Samantha's just done talking with Reich after that, so she puts her focus on Daisy and basically says that she spoke with Daisy's agency and heard that Daisy was going to be like doing nothing after Fashion Week. Daisy, the whole trip is that Daisy is going to Paris for Fashion Week and then spending another 3 weeks just exploring and doing whatever she wants by herself. And
Right.
Samantha has found that out and talked with her agency and has booked her for more work during those 3 weeks. And that's not what Daisy wanted. And yeah, my free time, I feel it's slipping through my fingers. Poor Daisy.
In my life, I feel like her free time is synonymous with her life in this
Yeah,
moment. It's just like the rest of my life is over.
yeah.
Like
Reich is
I
sitting there too, trying to get her to talk. And she like tries to speak up. She tries, and Samantha's like barely even giving her own attention. At this point, she's on the
hmm
phone texting someone, and while Daisy's trying to like struggling in this moment to speak up for herself, and Samantha doesn't even grant her the decency of actually paying attention to her and just says that she can't reschedule and it'll look bad.
Well, and I think that's just the narcissistic way of a parent. Again, the relationship that Jonathan and Reich have is somewhat mirrored with what Samantha and Daisy have, just in the narcissistic, like it's my way or the highway kind of thing. And they both handle it very differently. Like Reich and Daisy both handle it with their parents very differently, but even in those moments, like if Daisy did speak up and use her voice, A, she's not going to get what she wants, and B, she's going to feel guilty for causing someone, like causing her mom to think that she doesn't want that. And
Yeah.
so, and that's what happens when you have a narcissistic parent, you know?
Yep. Okay. So Samantha basically like lays down that yeah, you can't reschedule. It'll cause too much problems for like it'll make her look bad. And then she fucking leaves. That's it. Goodbye. And then Daisy has like she's panicking because she can feel her freedom
Yeah.
slipping away, and Reich is trying to calm her down by offering to like go running with her, just let her get air. This is something that when Daisy is struggling, we have seen when she feels confined in any sort of way, she just needs to find air.
Yep.
Oops, like in Ricochet, she felt kind of confined and she stuck her head out the top of the limo. It's the same thing.
Yep.
And he also tells her like, Daisy, you can cry about this. Like you can scream and yell. This is unfair, and you're allowed to act like it is
Be
unfair.
angry.
Yeah, be
Yep.
angry and act like this is unfair to you. And because she does not cry over this, like she feels
Right.
she's panicking, but she's not crying and feeling the unfair, like outwardly showing that she feels this unfairness besides her panic. And right as they decide that they are going to go for a run, her bodyguard calls and tells her that it's time to leave. And Daisy's like, don't worry about me, but and also please be safe in California. And he wants her to be safe too. And then they don't hug, and they don't say anything else or touch, and she leaves.
Horrible. Literally the worst. I'm like, oh no, this
Why?
is literally the worst case scenario.
So, next chapter is Daisy is gone. She's in Paris, and Reich has not uh, been able to find any time to talk with her because of the time zone and her being busy. Can you go away? Thank you. But the guys are working out at the gym together, and I just love seeing their dynamic, the three of them.
Me too.
They're when they're not being as serious with like we
Right.
saw the three of them talking earlier about Reich and Daisy dating, but this is just them being them and shooting the shit.
Right. And I love
Oh
them.
yeah.
I think so. Thomas annotated Hothouse Flower for me
Mm-hmm.
whenever, like, for my birthday last year. And I asked him what his favorite part was. And he said, I just really like watching the guys interact with each other. And I was like, that tracks because you're a guy, but also, like, you're
Yeah.
right. Like, it is just so good, the three of them being
I
together.
just love watching. I love the love stories that Krista and Becca write, but also I'm like equally obsessed with all of these different platonic
Me too.
dynamics that the
Yep.
relationships that they write. I'm so fascinated by them. I want to know
I
more.
think I always say that I think you get to see every character with every character in a
Yeah.
one-on-one stance throughout the series. And every time a new one happens, I'm like, gosh, I just love Connor and Daisy's interactions, or I love Reich and Rose's
Yeah.
interactions, or Lily and Reich, or it's just they I will say it 100%, like the love stories are great, but the friendships are better. And that's why this is in the family, like the sisterhood and the
Yeah.
brotherhood between them all.
So good.
So good.
But so while they are working out, Lo does wind up bringing up to Reich that he thinks he should go back to rehab for his sobriety. And Reich is sitting here like, this isn't, it did work for you the first time, but he's
Hmm.
not so sure that it's going to work again because now Lo is in the public eye. There is more scrutiny and just attention on him. And also, if Lo goes to rehab soonish, Reich will be traveling for his trip out to California. And the last time Lo was in rehab, Reich was around and able to be there to support Lo whenever he needed it. And he would that would
Hmm.
not be the case if Reich is traveling. So there's just like a couple of different factors for Reich why he thinks rehab might not be the best choice for Lo. And then he suggests that he and Lo should go on the road trip together.
Right.
And Lo wants Connor to come. He's like, yeah,
Of course he
yeah,
does. The
yes.
mediator.
It's that Lo is afraid that he and Reich will just butt heads and fight and tear each other apart. And someone,
I think,
yeah,
I was just going to say, I think Lo is also afraid of being so exposed because, like, to
mm,
Reich, because Reich sees him and really sees him, and Connor is like a buffer
yeah. Like Connor
in
sees
that way
things,
as
but
well.
Connor doesn't bring it up. It's just like something that he files
Right.
away and like, okay, this is
Right.
Lo's personality or some trait of Lo, but it's
Yeah.
not something that he'll
Yeah,
call out.
I think he is not just like a physical buffer, but like a very emotional buffer for Lo, that he knows he can always go back to that banter with Connor, and he can rely on Connor to be the good
Yeah,
cop when Reich is gonna be there to like strip Lo bare
yeah,
and say, like, let's see it
yes,
all, and let's I'm gonna love it all, but let's see it all and let's get to the bottom of all this,
right.
you know? And I think Lo's like, yeah, I don't want that.
Well, because also there is the comparison of Reich is very coarse too. So
Mm-hmm.
like and abrasive. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm picturing it as like physically but like yes,
No, yeah.
in this instance he would be abrasive with Lo and strip him down, and it would be harsh, and like it would still be probably healing for them. But Connor is like this cool, calm, healing
Yes, like a
river force,
balm.
yes, and a bombing force, and that like
Yes,
you need
yes.
all of it for Lo to feel healed at the end.
Right.
Like he needs,
Both of them are so
yes.
necessary.
Why am I
Yeah.
thinking like Reich is going to exfoliate?
No, like sandpaper. Like I'm thinking about sandpaper.
Yes.
So people, my mom used to say, we all have sandpaper people. And I was like, yeah, I feel like I have a lot of them, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah. She's like, but they smooth you out when they rub and are rough,
Yeah.
they're smoothing you out. I'm like, okay, well, I don't like it.
Yeah. It still fucking hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going on a road trip, all, the three of them, and then Reich gets, yeah, he gets a message
Text.
from, yeah, he gets a text from Jonathan. I'd like to see you before you go kill yourself on a goddamn mountain. And he deletes
Hmm.
that. And then Lo asks him who it was, and he lies and says it was his mom. But we learn that Reich has not really talked with his mom at all. She still tries to reach out to him and apologize because at this point it's been at least,
A year. I
no,
think
it's
it's
been
been
more
about a
than a year because it
year.
was over a year that Kiss the Sky ended. And then Addicted for Now was,
Oh, yeah.
so it's been like 2 years at least that he's found out that his mom leaked
That's right.
Lily's sex addiction to the public, and he is still very hurt by that. Yeah. Now all six of us are famous because of Sarah Hale. Thanks, Mom. Poor Reich.
Poor Rick.
All right, so to the next chapter, Reich gets an emergency SOS text from Lily while he is out at lunch with Lo and Connor. And he's like, did you get a text from Lily? And Lo did not. So he's automatically worried. And then Lily winds up calling Reich, and it turns out that she and Rose were driving somewhere, and they wound up with a flat tire. And Rose is trying to replace it, and Lily has zero confidence. So she was calling someone who can actually come help them.
Connor being agitated while he's scrolling on his phone, and Wright says, "Your shipment of handcuffs not come in, sweetheart."
I just I just love picturing this moment because it's Reich on the phone with Lily, and he can
Mm-hmm.
overhear Rose in the background, and then across
Right.
the booth from him is Lo and Connor, and they're both glaring at Reich because he is the only contact for either of them
Right.
to their partners. And then Lily is panicking, and she says,
She's in 5-inch heels.
"No,
I'm impressed. I really am.
oh yeah, and I'm not pepper spraying a nice person who tries to help us. You would if they tried to rape you. No one is going to rape you too." And then Lo and Connor are just like scrambling over the table, like, we need to talk to them. Give me
Give
their
me the
information.
phone.
It's like not funny, but it's funny.
It right. Like Lily, like of course, Reich is the only one who knows what's going on
Yes.
the other side of that line, and Lily, of course, is being dramatic,
Yes.
and Rose is being, "No one's gonna rape you."
Oh,
Like I can just
even
see
more
her like
dramatic.
dead serious.
Yes.
Right, even more dramatic, and then and Reich's probably over here like rolling his eyes, and the other two only know
Yes. Only no.
they heard the word rape.
Like, no, we need the phone.
What?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I just love this scene for picturing
Me
Lo
too.
and Connor.
Me too.
Um, and it's Lily doesn't really want Lo or Connor there because Rose is having a fight with Connor, and if Lo
Hmm.
comes, Rose will get in a fight with him.
Right.
But Reich is just like, yeah, I'm bringing them. Of course, I'm gonna bring
I'm
them.
obviously bringing them. But then you see at the end, like, he feels pushed aside even
Yeah,
here. You know, he's like, I'm just the manual
yeah,
labor.
he is the
Like,
fifth wheel.
right.
Yeah, so they meet up with the girls, and Reich, like the couples pair off. And Reich's just like, yeah, fine, I'm gonna start replacing the tire. And
Right.
this is the moment that we know that Reich actually understands what Rose and Connor are saying to each other when they're speaking in
Yes.
French. Reich is
Yes.
actually fluent in French, and he just pretends that he doesn't understand.
Which is like one of my favorite
Yes, and so,
choices that Krista and Becca
oh
made.
yeah, yes, there were Olivia did bring up moments where Rose and Connor say things in French immediately after Reich is like, and that's my cue to leave. Almost like he
Right.
does understand what they were saying. But
Yes.
we just never caught it
Almost like.
until now.
Right.
Um, and then also during this conversation, we start hearing that Rose has been one fighting with Connor, kind of like keeping him out of the loop for
Hmm.
weeks. And we just don't know what is necessarily going on with them.
Right.
But something is going on between the two of them.
Something.
We'll find out.
And then we get at the end, we're all just strange pieces in the world, and the
Mm-hmm.
half that usually connects with me is thousands of miles away in Paris.
Yep.
And then I just hope she's sleeping.
He's always thinking about her. Like,
Always.
he is such a caring man.
Well, I think I wrote here like we're all just pieces, and the half that usually connects with me, and I put translation, Daisy is my other half.
Yeah, he is.
Is. She just
Yep.
is.
Okay, so Daisy has been in Paris for 3 days at this point, and apparently she's slept only 5 hours in that entire time frame. She had a nightmare the first night and doesn't want to go back to sleep. Yeah, and she talks about just like how she's kind of struggling with modeling. That yeah,
Hmm.
this job would suit a million people better than me because she's just like when you're modeling, you're just meant to walk down this one path and just stay still and
It's just like that's wrong for
yes,
Daisy, and that's what the point
yes,
is.
it's just that's not who Daisy is.
Right.
She is movement. She is
Movement.
free. We also meet Christina, who is a 15-year-old model that signed with Daisy's agency. Daisy is I love that Daisy tries to be like this mentor for Christina, that she
Yeah.
has gone through and seen so much in her time as a model and working, and she really tries to make sure that Christina doesn't have to go through what Daisy went through. Most
Right.
especially because,
Like what she wished she had,
yeah,
you know?
yes, because there was nobody there telling Daisy, like, maybe don't do the coke or like all of these things. But yeah, okay. So then we also meet Ian, who is a male model, and Daisy and Ian kind of bond and flirt a little bit over, they bond over craft services and not being able to eat the right food. And they flirt a little bit with, like, I think I sat on your face, referring to
I
an ad uh,
thought that was
on a
so
bench.
cute.
But yeah, so we kind of see that, like, Daisy's flirty with this guy that's not right. It's just like that is the way she is. This is just
Yeah.
how, yeah, she just,
But yet again, even here, he can't keep
right.
up.
Yeah, and she's talking with Ian, I think at some point. Yeah, even while she's flirting with someone else, there's some memory that reminds her of, if there's something that's said that reminds her of Reich, and she's sitting there
Right.
smiling over Reich.
Right. I think it's also like I said something about this too, where she says I'm not into the whole bulimic thing or the anorexic thing, and with us like talking about how little Daisy is eating, I think it's important to point out that she's not anorexic. She's just doing what is pleasing to her mother.
Yes.
And I'm so thank like that would have been a very natural thing to have put in this
Yeah.
book, with Daisy being in the way that she operates with her job. I'm not trying to say that that's what models do. That's not at all what I'm trying to say, but it would have made sense in the storyline to have that. But I'm so grateful that they kind of like dialed in on this one issue that Daisy's having, and they didn't pile it
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
because that
Because
would have just
just been,
it would have been realistic. It could have been realistic, but at the same time, they kept it very like centered and
yes,
focused on
on
this
her
instead
sleep
of the other.
and
Yes,
other trauma.
the other.
Yeah. So while she's talking with Ian, she kind of decides that maybe he'd be her number seven. And when he asks her if she wants to meet up later, she does say yes. And she's also hoping that if someone else is around that evening, maybe it can help her relieve some of her anxieties when it comes to feeling safe and secure in her hotel room.
Right.
And she also mentions that she just doesn't, she wants to be careful that she's not medicating this
Medicating.
anxiety with sex.
And then she has the heartbreaking line, I didn't want to have Lily's
Yeah,
problem,
which is
which of course she
no.
doesn't. Like, that's not the heartbreaking part that she said it. It's just that she is now being compared to Lily in every aspect.
Yes, but also the like I don't think that Daisy necessarily exhibits addictive tendencies the way that other
No,
characters do, and I think some of this is in her head. The media is getting to her,
100%.
and she thinks that maybe she could potentially be that way, and just doesn't. She's trying really hard not to
Right. Yeah.
be put in the position of potentially being a sex addict like Lily. Yeah.
Right.
So then Ian comes over and just immediately, like, she's so sad because she's like, maybe he can help relieve some of my anxieties over feeling safe and secure. And like, the first thing he does when he comes in is start unlocking her balcony doors and like opening it up and immediately just like stressing her out and heightening her paranoia instead. But she's very clearly jumpy, and even Ian notes it, and he offers her a line of coke, try and calm her down, which she doesn't take, but he does. And then he immediately tries to get her into bed.
I literally just hate this entire
Oh,
chapter.
yeah. We don't really need to go too far into it, but
Totally fine.
basically the things to note are that he puts her in a position where she's on top, which is something to
Hmm.
remember for later. And he also hurts her. Like he bites
Yes.
her,
Makes her
yeah,
bleed.
he bites her breast and makes her bleed. And he touches
Hmm.
her somewhere without her explicit consent, and that's when she decides that she wants to change her mind, and he is just so fucking stupid and is like, "Oh, are you a virgin? It's okay if you're a virgin. I could take care of you." Like, fuck off, man.
No, you
Like,
can't.
she's allowed to change her mind because she finds you gross and you were touching her the way that she didn't want you to touch her,
Hmm.
not just because she's some inexperienced virgin.
Right.
And if she was, like, what the fuck are you doing? And then another thing to note is she says that she's dry, and that he'll hurt her, and his response is that once he's inside her, she'll be wet, and I want to wring his neck so fucking badly.
Yes, same. That is just so, like, I don't even know how to explain what that is. That's just literally
Yep.
horrifying.
Um,
And I love though that she knows because of
yes.
Reich that that's not how this is supposed to
Right.
go. You know, like as much as Lo was like, Reich, shut up, like to all of these things, she now knows I can say no when it's not comfortable
Right.
for me,
Because,
because of Reich.
yeah, well, because I was thinking, like, would Lily or Rose have really sat down and talked with her about this? I
Right.
don't really
Which
see, yeah, I
sucks.
don't really see them having done this.
Definitely not
No.
Lily.
But yeah, so then Daisy asks him to leave and claims that she has a boyfriend to get him to go. And he's like, all right, I can take a hint. And I'm like, yeah, fucking right.
Yeah, right. Get out, Ian.
Do not believe you. Please fucking leave. And then poor Daisy is like trying to lock up her room to a level where she feels safe after he's gone. And she starts to wonder whether she could use porn to try and help her with getting to sleep or just like calming her anxieties at this point.
Yeah.
And she calls Lily for the best site to check. And when Daisy tries, or when Daisy goes to this site, she clicks on the most popular video. And what does it turn out to be?
Rose and Connor. I forgot that this happened, and when I read it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, no!" I forgot.
Also, just like not her calling Connor's penis ginormous. I don't think,
And you know, like,
not even Connor wants
yeah,
her
like even
knowing.
Connor, yeah, Connor does not even want her to call it that.
No, like Connor would probably find it a compliment from quite literally anyone else but Daisy.
Literally, yes.
Yeah. So she's like trying to exit out of the video too. Or she's, yeah. And, but like a subscription box keeps popping up and she's trying to click out of it. And I'm sorry, but this is so reminiscent of Lily and her in
Yes.
college with trying to click out of the porn video and her computer not responding. And okay, so maybe we just shouldn't trust Lily's advice
Let's,
when it comes to
she just doesn't have the best track record for this.
poor Daisy probably didn't know about that, but like let it be known, Lily, no, we're not going to go to Lily for that kind of advice.
Right.
So then, uh, yeah, Daisy, it goes from this moment of like kind of levity straight to an arrow in your heart. So she gets a Skype call from Reich, and she's like, "All right, fine, I'll answer it. He's my best friend." And she realizes that he was calling her by mistake because she is currently watching Reich go down on another woman.
Yep.
Yeah, and yes, this chapter is trauma for all of us, and this was something that
It
I
is.
did. I think it's kind of mentioned in vague terms a little bit. There are like a couple of chapters in Addicted to You when Lily is sleeping with someone else. They're like vague mentions of her switching positions or something like that, but it does not go into as much detail as we are getting with Reich,
Right.
and I hate that I hate seeing them, any
I
of
don't
them,
need
with
this
someone
much information.
that is not their person. And I think that
No.
this is the first and only time that we really see it, because we did not get it with Lo. Like, we did not get this level of detail with Lo. I don't think we really got
Right.
this level of detail with Lily. Definitely not with Rose, and not really with Connor.
Or Connor.
We
Yeah.
just get it here, and it is pain that I don't like.
Pain. I do want to point out that I think it's funny how she goes from I just saw Connor's ginormous penis to I need rehab.
Yeah,
Like, quickly.
someone scrub
Connor,
my brain.
this is what you inspire Daisy is she needs rehab.
Oh God, Connor would not be happy.
But yes, this is just traumatic. Like the whole chapter is just trauma.
Yeah, and then at the end, he finishes and Daisy sees his face, and what she sees in his face is, "I want you, and you're beautiful," to this woman, and she's like, "Oh God, he's moved on," and that just breaks
Yeah.
my heart.
Yep.
So then what we get, so then it switches into Reich's point of view, and we learn that Reich tried to take this girl Amelia out on a date, and paparazzi wound up taking pictures of him out with her, and he is worried about Daisy seeing the pictures and thinking that it's more than it is. And there's this line that, like, what does he say? Team, "I shouldn't care how Daisy feels. We're not together, but it's been tearing up my fucking lungs." Yeah, it's tearing up my heart. And then he's like, "But that fucking picture of her being intimate with someone else, it's so fucking painful. Someone is drowning me, my throat burning with salt water and rage." Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It just, yes, you are describing what I'm feeling in this moment.
Has to get worse before it gets better
Yes,
though.
so true. But we learned that Reich didn't wind up having sex with this girl, Amelia. And he even slept on the couch when she spent the night at his apartment. But when she woke up, she pulled him into his room, and he isn't even aroused. And Reich
Hmm.
is just like, he's so caring, even for this woman that really doesn't mean that much. But he's not aroused. And she's like, is it me? And he's like, "No, it's not
Hmm.
you." And then takes care of her.
Right.
And at some point, Reich does finally look, when he's finished when she's done, he looks up at his screen and realizes that Daisy has been watching. And she clicks out of the Skype call, and he's like, "Well, fuck. I need to call her back right
Yep.
now."
Mortified.
Yes. He doesn't know how long she's watching. But yeah, so he tries
Right.
calling her back on Skype, and she will not answer on a Skype call. She'll only answer a phone call. But he needs to see her face.
Which says so much
It
to me.
does. That
I see both perspectives. Like I can see wanting to see her face. Like if I were in a situation where I feel like I hurt someone, I would want to see their face.
Yes. Well, I think it's also
But
that Daisy is like she's trying to be their friendship is about being real with each other, but I think in this instance is a moment where she would put on a fake face and be fake with him, and I think he would be able to sense that better by actually watching her and knowing when she's lying
right,
to him about her
right.
feelings, which is something that
But I would want to avoid it as
oh
well.
yeah,
I'd be like,
I would be on
no.
if I were Daisy, I'd be like, absolutely not. You know what?
Yeah,
We're not even gonna have a phone call. We can talk over text.
yeah,
That's totally
yeah,
fine.
we're good. Let's just pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that too. But yeah, so he gets her on the phone and she does tell him about her weird night, and Amelia is sticking around. Please just go home. She's not going
Go
home.
home.
She wants to take a shower, and Reich is too nice to kick her out, so he lets her take a shower at his place, but keeps Daisy on the phone the whole time. And yeah, he'd rather talk with her than
Clearly.
yeah. And
What was weird about tonight? I saw Connor's penis.
yeah, and what else? Yeah, so she talks about how Ian was not great, and that she saw
Hmm.
Rose and Connor's videos.
I've been sleeping in the same bed as her. I've been taking care of her. She's mine. She feels like she belongs to me. I don't want to share her with any other fucking guy. And I don't want to be with any other fucking girl.
Amen.
Amen. Let's make it happen.
What can we do to make that happen?
What can Haley and Alan do to make this happen for you,
I
right?
will.
Because we would do anything for
You
you.
know what? I will fight low for you.
I will
And
too.
I would
I
be
think we could take
so,
him.
so happy to fight Samantha for you. Absolutely,
Yes.
100%.
Oh,
Let me at her.
let us do it. Let us at Samantha.
I like this note that you have that when Reich starts panicking, he has to move.
Very similar to Daisy when she is like running around the apartment
Mm-hmm.
trying to clean right before she leaves to go to Paris.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get the I can't orgasm, and he says, "You can orgasm. I fucking heard you, sweetheart." Right. There's no answer. I called her sweetheart. I do it unconsciously, and I know every time I say it, her lips rise. So good.
Yeah. So basically, at this point, Daisy stayed up too much of the night that she's not going to go back to sleep. So Reich's just like, yeah, I'm going to keep you on the phone and keep talking with her. Amelia steps out and she's like, Reich, you don't have any soap. And he's like, she hasn't even showered yet. Like the water was running. What the hell is she doing? I don't know. But Reich takes her down to Daisy's apartment, which is something that Daisy would not mind at this point. But I love that they just keep on talking like this is any other
Yes.
conversation that they'd be having any other day. Reich is completely ignoring Amelia over here.
Which is so real, like when you're, because like Thomas is my best friend, and I married him because he's my best friend. Also because I love him, but whatever. Anyways, that's what I do with him. Like, I just go everywhere and I'm just on the
Yeah,
phone with him, just
you pick right
talking,
back
like,
up.
or not talking,
Yeah.
like, and it just shows how deep and intimate
Yes.
their relationship is, even without the like being without the intimacy
Yes.
of it, It's just it's so real. Like that is so real to me
Yeah.
because that's what my relationship is like too.
Yeah. I love it. We also learn a little bit more about what happened when the guy assaulted Daisy that was mentioned in
Yeah.
Kiss This Guy. And we learned that it was not just bruises. She actually broke her rib when he assaulted her. So it was a
Yeah.
lot more of a bigger deal than she and Reich made it out. Like, they tried to downplay it as much as possible, but it was a bigger deal than what happened. Than what they
Yeah.
said. Yeah. And Amelia is snooping through Daisy's apartment and her bathroom and I love that she mentions like, Reich, she's got men's shampoo in here.
He's like, I wonder whose it is.
And then,
I also love seeing Daisy's style.
oh yeah.
Like we see it a little bit in the earlier chapters too, like with her daisies on her shower curtain and her green rug, the green like
Mm-hmm.
towels and her yellow
Oh yeah.
couch. I just
It's very
I
Daisy.
love seeing her
Yeah.
style. Very Daisy.
So Reich, I think Amelia needed a razor or something like that. And Reich goes into her cabinets and he pulls out Daisy's packet of birth control. Amelia notices, and the fact that Daisy is obviously in Paris and her pills are here is not a great sign. Um,
Yeah.
and Daisy gets worried for a second that like Reich can't kick her out of the apartment because she's afraid that Amelia could sell this information to the press, which I hate that
Right.
that is some instinct that has like that wasn't a it wasn't so much of a pause in her thinking. It was just sort of like, Reich, don't talk like that could be careful because she could sell that to the press.
Right.
Like at this point it is any of their information is up for grabs and I hate that for them.
Yeah. And I love how good of a sport Daisy is too. Like she literally just watched Wright go down on this girl, and now she's in her apartment taking a shower in her shower. And Amelia says, "Hey Daisy, thanks for the shampoo. It smells like Teen Spirit." And Daisy says, "She's fine."
No, she's not. I think Reich says no, she's not. I'm over here like, yeah.
Yes, she does. She says, "No, she's not." He says, "No, she's not."
And then, yeah, he's like, I miss you. And then he goes,
Yeah,
why do I say shit like that to her? Because it's the truth.
because it's the truth.
It is the truth.
And then she brings it back around and she's like, "Hey, well, what was your climbing time?" I
Yeah.
just love how she's so interested in him. Like,
Yes. And it's just,
she loves the things he
yes.
loves.
And she wants to like help celebrate what
Yeah,
his
exactly.
accomplishments.
She's so intentional to do that.
Yes.
And she says, "I'm proud of you. Did you scream, 'I'm a golden god' when you reach the top?"
Oh, yeah. And
Oh, in the end,
yeah, she's worried about
I have to.
bothering Reich
Oh, yeah, go
because of
ahead.
the time differences. And he's like, I don't care. Yep.
Yeah, she says, he says, "Call you later." No, she says, "Call you later." He says, "I'll answer." And then it says, "For you, I always fucking will."
Always.
So, and there is still no romantic relationship between
No.
the two. Like,
There's nothing, he would get nothing out of, in that way, he would not
nothing.
get anything out of it. But he has her friendship and that's what he wants. Like, he
Yes,
would take that.
that's what he wants. Yep. Oh, it's beautiful friendship.
So beautiful.
Beautiful.
Okay. So,
Okay, here we go.
yeah, this is when things start really picking up. So it's the day of the big fashion show and Daisy's getting ready. And she's not, so she's getting ready. They're doing her hair and makeup. She's not dressed yet, but she does notice that there are cameramen lingering around like this staging area that the models are in. And she mentions that she hasn't done any topless shoots yet, even though she's over 18 and can do them. And I hate that there's like this kind of idea that like, oh, you're 18? Yeah, absolutely. You can go ahead.
Take your
Yeah,
clothes off. Yeah.
no, if she doesn't want to show her body like that, she absolutely does not have to, especially
Yeah.
where she's coming from with her family being in the media and so centered around sex. Like, I would absolutely understand if she wanted to draw that boundary
Yep.
so that she,
Gosh.
but
Not like she has the choice, but
yeah, no.
anyways.
And then she talks a little bit about where she's modeled in some pretty horrible conditions, like being in a pool in a dress in wintertime. And
Horrible.
the dress couldn't get wet and she's like, well then why are we doing this in a pool?
Why are we in a pool?
And that was a moment where her mom was around to even be her advocate. And if we can even really, I question whether she was truly advocating for Daisy at this point, or if
No.
Samantha was just like, oh well, yeah, if you think it's best, then absolutely go ahead, do that with my daughter.
Hate you,
Yeah.
Samantha.
But then when the designers come in to inspect the models, the designer looks at Daisy and claims that she has gained weight and doesn't fit the dress anymore. And then humiliates her in front of a bunch of people backstage, strips her out of the dress, and gives it to someone else. And Daisy is left there standing naked and essentially jobless at this point because
Mm.
this was her job.
Why she was
Yep,
here. Yeah.
her work. And no one comes to help her or cover her up or do anything, defend her in any way. Because she's like, she talks about how the designer is saying that the dress doesn't fit her right. And that wasn't even how she tried on the dress during fittings. Like, she just, there's something, all of a sudden, this designer just wants to hate her.
Yeah.
Okay. don't understand why you
Okay,
hate Daisy
fine.
Calloway, but this
Literally.
designer clearly has
You
terrible taste.
seriously have a problem, obviously.
But at the end of that, Daisy notices that there are people taking pictures of her while she's naked.
Yep.
And she tries very hard. Like, this is just a horrible moment for her, and she's trying so hard to just at least hold herself together long enough to get out of there.
Ugh. Yeah.
Next chapter. This chapter already.
Here the fuck we go!
I'm already tearing up.
Yeah, I don't even want to.
Can't even talk about why I tear up at this chapter.
No, you can't.
for, for, but this chapter gets me going every time. So Reich shows up at this quarry, and he's meeting up with Sully, who is his camp childhood friend. It's okay. Be strong.
Okay.
Be strong.
Like, actually crying.
No.
It's okay. Okay.
They met at a climbing camp, and Sully has kind of been Reich's climbing partner ever since. And his friend, like not just his climbing partner, but they are best friends, and it's so special too because at this point we don't really see any of the core six with friends outside of each other. Reich is the only one who has any friends that made it past
All
of
this.
this media drama and everything.
Yeah.
Because Sully does not care. He does not give two shits about whether Reich is famous or not. He knew him when he was
Yep.
younger and just, yeah. But Sully wanted him to meet up at this quarry because this was the first place that Reich ever free soloed. And he wants him to do it again before Reich goes out on his road trip to free solo the Yosemite Triple Crown. But I need to mention it that Reich is walking out there and he suddenly notices that Sully is not around and he asks, "You climbed without," or yeah, because this is a special moment. Look up. You climbed without me? I thought you wanted to do this together. And I
Haley, how could you do this to me?
cannot say why that moment is very meaningful, but it is very meaningful and it comes back later. Just remember that moment.
I can't even look at you right now. Like, I'm literally like not even looking at you because I'll just start and I won't stop.
Everything's happy, guys. We love Sully.
We
Nothing is
do.
wrong.
We love Sully.
Yeah, I'm reading your notes and I'm so. Yes, if Reich is gonna go out, he's gonna go out big.
Yeah, shut up. Sully. Why would you do that?
Yeah. All right, so Reich free solo climbs this quarry, and he can tell as he's climbing that he is feeling freer and lighter and stronger than the first time he ever climbed this. And he gets to the top, and Sully has a cake sitting by. It says, "Climb that bitch," but the icing got smudged a little bit, so it says, "Limb that itch." Just as good.
I love it. Just as
Yes.
good.
So then they wind up talking about Daisy and how much she loves cake and speak of the devil. Reich then gets a call from Daisy, and she's calling from right after the events of the last chapter. And also, I would just like to point out that that chapter ended with Daisy saying that she didn't want to be here. She just wanted to go home. But if she's unable to hop on a plane and actually fly back to Philly, she's going to do the next best thing, which is call home. And that means calling Reich Meadows, who is her home. Yeah. Okay. Daisy has called Reich. The call drops, and he tries to call her back, which this is the first time Daisy's voicemail message. "Hi, it's Daisy. Not Duck and not Duke. Definitely not Buchanan. I'm McCalloway. If you have it misdialed, then leave your name after the beep, and I'll call you when I return from the moon. Don't wait around. It may take a while."
Like,
And then he's like, "Call me back or text me that you're okay." I love that he leaves a voicemail. I would have just like immediately hung up and called again and texted and just like, "Ooh, I'm not leaving a voicemail."
I simply cannot get over the fact that we see this voicemail again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's the first time.
Like, You have set me off. I am full blown just crying, and so everything is setting me off now. Okay.
And he tries to call her back, and she's having a panic attack after everything that happened. And she explains to Reich what went down. He's trying to calm her down, and poor Reich is just like, he is so coarse, and he doesn't know. He's like, she's having trouble breathing, and she starts gagging like she's gonna throw up, and he's like, stop being, what is it, like, stop being so dramatic or something like that. He's trying to help her, but like, he's not soft about it.
Right. He says something about it being tough love. Hang
Yes.
on.
Which I need to remember that because that's a very,
Hey, wait. You're not dying, so stop
yes,
acting like it.
yeah,
Being a jackass is the only way I can think to get her to calm
yes.
down.
But while he's in the middle of trying to calm her down, all of a sudden the call drops. But they leave, and yeah, as he's going down, he says, "I'm so emotionally involved with that girl. If someone had told me she was crying 2 years ago, I would have called Lily or Rose to deal with it. But I want to be the one to protect Daisy. I want to be the one to hold her in my arms. I want to comfort her until she reanimates in pure fucking happiness. I don't want to miss a day with her. I don't want to be here while she's there, and I can't take back these feelings. I can't go in reverse. I drive forward at 150 miles per hour.
150 miles per hour.
I'm racing towards her when I should be slamming on the fucking brakes. I know how to stop, but I'm not going to. I don't want to. That's the fucking truth. Oh my god. Yes. These are all the thoughts we wanted you to be having,
Finally.
right?
I also love, I didn't see this until just now, and I don't know if it was intentional or if it's just there, but when right before he descends the mountain, he says, I nod and hook into the anchor. And
Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
don't know if that's on purpose or not.
but like I think
That's what I meant to.
it's
Yeah,
cool.
that's what I meant to add in with the Reich is mine too. Krista and Becca, if you're listening, please let us know whether these things are intentional or not.
Yes, please. Because I just, I mean, we find out. Do we already know about the tattoo?
We haven't talked about what the meaning is. I don't know if it's explicitly described as the anchor or if we just know that it's the
Okay.
phoenix.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, between me and you, that's
But we know an anchor gets mentioned later on. So we can, yeah.
yes.
Okay. So, back in Paris, the paparazzi have found Daisy's hotel and she's made headlines for getting kicked out of the fashion show. So she's someone that they want. She's more in the media again, just for making headlines. And she's
Yeah.
getting texts from Samantha that she needs to go apologize to the designer and get back in their good graces, which just fuck you, Samantha.
Yep.
Just were
As
you okay?
always.
They stripped you naked. Do you need to be taken care of in this moment? No. Go apologize. What did you do wrong? Make it right.
Buy her something.
Fuck off. Like, yeah,
Buy her
bribe
something?
her way back into her good graces. No. Fuck you, Samantha. I hate you.
The rejection is harder to accept when my mom won't let it go.
Yeah.
Like as if she's not already struggling so much with this whole
Yep.
situation. Her mom is just railing her about it.
But I think this is another moment where Daisy is feeling confined and she needs air. She needs to breathe in this moment. So she
Yeah.
decides that she's going to leave her hotel room and just go anywhere, somewhere. And she takes the stairs down because she dislikes riding in elevators without someone that she trusts. So she goes into the stairwell and she starts walking down, but she hears that someone else is also in the staircase and is kind of following her. And so she starts running.
And so this is one of my favorite parts of this
Yeah.
chapter because I noticed this. I didn't notice it the first time I read, but it's a countdown to her seeing Reich, and it's using the floors,
As the,
the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as the
yeah.
countdown. And I think that's
Yes, it's
genius.
so cool. Such good, like, I love that writing. But
Yep.
yeah, so someone calls her name and she turns around and she's like, you can't be real. You're in Philadelphia. And next chapter, we find out that Reich has flown from Philly to Paris right after she called him.
Yep.
Uh, and he wonders where she was running off to, if she was going to try and find that weird fucking guy from her weird fucking night. And just this whole thing. I thought I was your fucking pillow. You didn't want to be my pillow, remember? And you
Oh,
replaced me too, which is good. You know, you're dating other people, I'm dating other people, and yeah, let's just cut that out. And he interrupts her.
yeah, it's
He
time.
interrupts her, and this is their first kiss.
It's the most satisfying first kiss ever. Like, and I made note that like we don't get to see
Mhm.
everybody else's first kiss because they're already established
Yeah.
couples at some level.
Yes.
And so I love that we get the classic slow burn build up to a kiss with this, you
Oh,
know?
put out of our misery.
And even she, like, it says a breathless moan leaves me before I can catch it. That's just relief. Like, that's just a sigh of
Oh,
relief, you know?
absolutely. But so they start making out, and it's just so very them. He puts her, they're in the
Hmm.
stairwell, and he puts her up on the railing, like where she's kind of hanging over the edge of the
Right.
center. And yeah, the danger of it all.
The danger of it all. And the you don't need to replace me, you can have me, sweetheart.
Mm,
Oh, there's just so many
I
good
know.
one-liners in
Just
this
right
chapter.
meta. Yeah, he
And then you get every theory you've ever fucking had about men, I'm gonna prove them
God,
wrong.
more fucking
Yes.
fun.
It's
So crazy. Okay, but then after the beautiful high of them finally kissing, it crashes down a little bit. We're trying to get some logistics of what's going on. Daisy wants clarity. I want clarity. Yes, yes, yes. We love good communication. Yes. But she wonders if this is some kind of Paris hookup while they're away from their families, and that's all this is. I kissed you tonight because I want your lips to only touch mine from now until forever. That's the fucking truth. Yeah. So, yes, forever. But then it comes into the next logistic to work out, which is that neither of their families would be happy if they're together, and they want to be happy together. So how do they handle this? And it's maybe they don't tell their families until Daisy's a little older, and it's like, so like maybe when she's 20. But I love that it's the let me spell it out for you. We're together. I'm not going to be with anyone but you, even if no one else fucking knows that. We don't date each other. We don't date other people for show. They just think we're single, which I love that they add that in there, because I know when you have this kind of trope where it's like, we'll date in secret, you always get that kind of thing, and it causes miscommunication and a breakup. And I love that Reich is like from the beginning, nope, that's not what this is going to be. It's so relieving. Like it doesn't ever wind up coming to pass anyway, but I love that we just add that in there just so we're not questioning it. It's just beautiful, fantastic communication. Just them. Yes, we're not breaking up. Yeah, that's all this is. Yep. I it's I love these books, this series, the next series, just the way they write. It's the couples together and just learning and growing while being together. That's all that it's it's not the end is them in the relationship. There's more growth and a further help. Okay. So this is going to end part 1 of the Hothouse Flower discussion, and we will pick back up next week with part 2. But until then, continue to stay addicted to Krista and Becca's writing like us.